Second call was Mork and Mindy. Yeah, I can actually remember back in the day, Mork and Mindy. The only thing bigger than Happy Days was Mork and Mindy. I was never a huge Robin Williams guy. Different dude. Kind of a brilliant comedian, I guess. YouTube that show. That was kind of funky. So, Caleb, that doesn't really work. That show was like the number one TV show for a long time. Mork and Mindy. Anyway, Jeff had a golden ticket, and then he got it ripped with special ed smack. And spending most of his time beating down Josh in Detroit. All right, so moving along quickly. Next hour, I've got Ice Cube, Nick Rolovich, and I want to get to this. Like, when you think of dangerous sports, golf normally is not on that list, right? It's a game where dudes roll out in plaid, they wear visors, they knock around a little ball, it's sitting still. Not exactly combat sports. Not exactly lethal like some other sports. Normally, the most dangerous thing that could happen on the links is the cat pulling out the big dog at the tee and braining some dude in the gallery from 300 yards away. Or Hefty getting ready to unleash some of his black belt in Taekwondo on knee-high fescue so he can improve his line. Or using a judo chop to stop an errant three-putt while it's still rolling. I mean, it's just golf, right? It's not a combat sport. Suckers are not getting blown up. They're not getting snot bubbled. The gentleman's game. Or so I thought, because it was a bloody, violent weekend for the gentleman's game. And two incidents on the course this weekend demand your attention. The first one happened on the Web.com tour when golfer Kevin Statler sent a spectator to the hospital after he slammed his 7-iron off the turf and the club head snapped and brained a dude. Imagine being behind the ropes. You're watching the Walrus's kid play a par 3. It's a Web.com event, the top minor league circuit. So you're probably only a few feet away. And all of a sudden, a club head comes flying through the air like a tomahawk or a daisy cutter. And it practically lodges in your skull. And that's not a bruise. And that's not a scrape. We're talking EMTs dispatched to the scene. Playing partner, Sean McKeel, said, quote, "It's been a while since I've seen that much blood," end quote. And the poor dude who needed to fill his head with zippers just to close that gash was actually being looked at for a possible skull fracture. Yo, Walrus Jr., it's the Web.com tour. You did not just pull a shot into Rays Creek at the Masters. You tugged an iron into a bunker at the Winco Foods Portland Open presented by Kraft Heinz. And you got up and down. Too bad you can't say the same thing about that poor dude who has got a wrench jammed into his melon. And if you think a skull fracture sounds bad, and it is, wait until you hear what happened at Souther's Marsh Golf Club. It's about 45 minutes south of Boston. Because it's one thing to get hit by a flying club in a freak accident in the gallery. It's another to lose a freaking digit in an all-out golf brawl.
Right now is behind bars, the other at the hospital recovering after that finger was bitten off. Now this all went down, we're told by firefighters, around 6:30 tonight at the Souther's Marsh Golf Course that is in western Plymouth here. We're told two men got into a fight and one bit off with his teeth the other's finger. When firefighters arrived, they found that the victim had his finger bitten off at the knuckle and the rest of his finger was on ice. Take a listen.
Be advised, an update from the PD. Apparently, there's two foursomes that got into an altercation, and there's been a finger that's been bitten off. The victim is laying down on the main entrance road in between a cluster of 3 golf carts.
Now, the victim was rushed to South Shore Hospital. No word on his condition tonight. As for that alleged biter, the 47-year-old man, again, is behind bars. No word if alcohol was involved.
I don't even know where to start. Did she say that he was bitten off? He had his finger bitten off with teeth? How else would you bite anything off? Yeah, look, I'm as competitive as the next guy. That news report is absolutely amazing. I'm as competitive as the next guy. I want to win as badly as the next guy. I hate to lose as much as anybody. But no matter how hard the competitive juices are flowing, a Friday night twilight round at Sothers Marsh should not end up with some dude looking like Ronnie Lott. The backstory here is a couple of foursomes brawled so hard that a guy literally did bite another man's finger off. Some poor schmuck now needs only 80% of his golf glove because one group reportedly was playing too slowly. Listen, slow golf is a crime against sports humanity. There is nothing worse than getting stuck behind a group where each dude is rehearsing his backswing before every shank, or stalking an 8-foot putt like he's Justin Thomas on the 72nd hole, only to blow that thing 6 feet by the hole. But just because it takes a little longer than it should to get your round in does not mean you need to leave some dude fingerless and lying between 3 golf carts waiting for a medic to arrive. Now, the finger biter was in court yesterday, and the story only gets more bizarre from there. According to court documents, the biter, a 47-year-old man, claims that in the middle of the melee, he was defending his father, who was also playing in his foursome, when a finger just, quote, ended up in his mouth, end quote. So he just bit down. I mean, I guess I could see where that might happen, maybe. You're brawling alongside Pops on the 18th hole. Things are getting crazy. I mean, it is a fight. Anything goes in a fight, especially in a fight on the street or on a golf course. You're fighting alongside your old man. Some dude comes in with the classic fish hook, and on instinct, you just bite down, lopping a guy's digit off, quote, to the knuckle. Now, the dude who's short a digit told the police a very different story. Knuckles said that the biter grabbed his wrist and began mowing down on his fingers, plural, and that the noise made from the dude grubbing on his hand sounded like, now wait for this, he said it sounded, quote, like someone chewing a Dorito. A freaking Dorito. No word on whether or not that was nacho cheese or Cool Ranch. And even after Knuckles' son picked up the severed finger and put it in a cup of ice and brought it to the emergency room, and I always respect that move. How many times have you heard about a guy who had a finger or a thumb or a leg or a nose munched off? There's always that one guy, man, the one guy who's got the presence of mind to pick up the fallen nose or leg or finger and put it in an ice chest. But this guy did that for Pops, or in this case, Knuckles. However, it didn't matter. They could not reattach the stub at the hospital. So you tell me, you find me a crazier weekend of golf than that one. On one coast, a pro golfer sends a sawed-off 7-iron into the gallery like a daisy cutter. And then on the other, fathers and sons decide to throw down over slow play, and it costs somebody a digit. I mean, seriously. Again, I understand it's a fight, and anything and everything goes in a fight. I mean, we all know this. This is what's so scary about fights. It's one thing to have a guy break your nose or break your face or break your jaw, but it's a fight. And you have no idea what's going to happen. Somebody might bite down on a digit. Somebody could lose a digit. And it's not the first time I've heard of somebody resorting to biting. But biting? I mean, that's the worst story I've heard since that Charger fan and Raider fan got into a bar in San Diego and a guy lost an ear. Speaking of which, I mean, biting a dude's digit off. Not everybody's got that tool in their arsenal. Not everybody's got that tool in their tool chest. Hell, Mike Tyson turning Evander Holyfield's ear into a tortilla chip thinks that's over the top. Most people wait until the 19th hole to get a bite to eat. This dude was crushing a knuckle sando on the 18th because somebody took a little too long between shots. Walrus Jr. is cracking coconuts. Biter was protecting his old man when a finger just ended up in between his teeth. So Knuckles said he almost got turned into Captain Hook and said it sounded like somebody chewing on a Dorito. Say what you want about golf. It is officially time to stop calling it boring. That happened on the same weekend on separate coasts. So now there's a lot more to be worried about than just Hefty breaking out his black belt on the links or Tiger Woods breaking out the big bat and going with an errant drive. This dude lost a finger, and it sounded like somebody chewing on a Dorito. I bet that's not what it felt like. This dude lost a finger over slow play. Do you think it was a fish hook? And did he have it coming to him? Or is he completely jacked up? Hedstrom Bacon, first one through on Twitter. Golf is a violent sport? Psst, please. Signed to cornholers.
Stop it right now! We will stop this tournament! This is stupid! This is absolutely ridiculous! Get!
Sports Flash. I'm Red Jackerman. The Red Sox have hit a rare speed bump, if you want to call it that. They've been so good that it seems unusual when they lose, and last night they suffered their second straight defeat, dropping the series opener to the Indians. Tonight they'll try to avoid matching their longest skid of the year. Manager Alex Cora tipped his cap to the AL Central leaders.
I feel they're one of the best teams in the big leagues because of what they do. I don't think, obviously they have that lead in their division, but it's a complete team. What Francisco and Ramirez are doing is pretty impressive.
Shane Bieber and Nathan Eovaldi will be on the mound tonight. Sox are still up 9 games on the Yankees, who are in Miami with a chance to renew acquaintances. Giancarlo Stanton returns to face his former team after 8 years in Miami. Manager Aaron Boone doesn't expect a lot of tears.
I'm sure he'll be experiencing a lot of emotions, and if what I've seen from him over the last 4 or 5 months, I would imagine he'll handle it pretty well.
Stanton can also reach a milestone tonight. He's 1 home run shy of 300 for his career. Marlins are among the worst teams in baseball under the ownership of former Yankee great Derek Jeter. Masahiro Tanaka will start tonight against Pablo Lopez, and also Didi Gregorius placed on the 10-day disabled list with a bruised heel. The White Sox will send Michael Kopech to the mound tonight against the Twins as the 22-year-old makes his major league debut after striking out 170 batters in 126 innings at AAA. And Nick Foles starts for the Eagles Thursday against the Browns after suffering a shoulder injury against the Patriots last week. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Get the hardest hitting sports talk with my partner, former All-Pro Tiki Barber.
And the Never Pro, Brandon Tierney.
Hey.
3 Eastern, noon Pacific on CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
In the U.S. and Canada, no matter where you can hear us, 1-800-636-8686. Terrestrial radio, satellite radio, CBS Sports Network on the simulcast. We are everywhere. Step it up. Coming up in about 35 minutes, I've got the head football coach at Hawaii, Nick Rolovich. But, as promised, we're joined right now by a mogul, an award-winning actor, director, producer, music icon, member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Films include Boys in the Hood, Friday, Three Kings, and Barbershop, plus the co-founder of the Big 3 League. The Big 3's championship is going to take place at Barclays Center on Friday, 8 p.m. on Fox. We're joined by Ice Cube. Cube, it's good to have you back. Good morning. How are you?
What's
What up, Jim? How you doing, man?
Good, Cube. Good to have you. Listen, before we talk about Friday's championship in Brooklyn, Cube, go back to Dallas on last Friday. It's the playoffs. You've got more than 16,000 fans for the playoffs. What was it like to have a league record crowd on a Friday night? Take me back. What did that night feel like?
I mean, it was awesome, because we had great talent on the floor, 4 of our best teams going at it. Dallas, who we were there last year, and, we had 15,000 people in the house. So to come back with a playoff game, have more people, have them more engaged with the action, shows that the league is moving in the right direction. It was just fun, man. And, that's what I wanted to bring, some fun to the summer.
Now you've got Power and Three's Company facing off in the championship game Friday night, Cube in Brooklyn. Power is the number 1 seed. They got guys like Corey Maggette, Big Baby Davis. When you watch them play, what sticks out to you the most about that club?
Their desire, teamwork. They, have no backup in their game. They do whatever it takes to win. Cuttino Mobley is about as fiery as you can be. As fiery as I remember him in the NBA. And so it's just great to see them dudes compete and gel, come together as a team around Nancy Lieberman, who's a great coach and a great communicator, and that's why her team's in the championship game.
Cube joining us. Cube, I want to talk to you about Nancy in 1 minute, but when you talk about the fire that Cuttino Mobley has shown, man, guys are getting emotional. Big Baby was really emotional, and he shared that emotion with the rest of the team. So what's it tell you about the competitive fire in that league and what the league means to these guys who are still playing in it, especially when you look at Baby and you see his response?
Hey, these guys are competitors, man, and everybody want to win. That's the thing. So when you do whatever it takes to win, and these games are not easy, emotions come out. And so I saw Kenyon Martin cry during the championship game last year when they won it. So I know that these guys are still as passionate as ever, and this means as much to them as any championship they've ever went for.
You think, does it mean as much to them as an NBA championship? It means that much?
Yeah, because they're playing right now for the Big 3. The NBA is in a lot of these guys' rearview mirror. Some of them won championships there, and they realize that they can win another NBA championship, but they can win another Big 3 championship. So to me, this is the most important one that's right in front of them that they can attain.
Kip, you mentioned Nancy Lieberman. She told the story recently about how she stepped away from coaching so she could tend to some family matters, but then she got a call from League Commissioner Clyde Drexler, and he talked about how the league values diversity, inclusion, and opportunity, and that those are principles that come from you. Why was it so important to make that a part of the league, and what's it been like to get to spend some time with a legend like Nancy Lieberman?
It's great because, a lot of us, all we need is an opportunity and to show how great we are. So it's a good thing to see her take advantage of this opportunity. We're lucky that she took the job because she was the best coach available, who understood the Big 3 game and understood, how our league impacts players and how our league is really what we're trying to accomplish, so to speak. So she was the perfect candidate, and she took the job. And I told her, because she asked me why did I want her to be a coach? And I said, because I thought she would coach to win the championship, and that's what it's all about. It's about nothing else, but we want coaches that want to win the championship.
Ice Cube joining us. Cube, after Friday's game, a number of the guys were talking about the growth of the league. Drew Gooden talked about how he was in Greece recently. He saw a commercial for the league, and then he was walking around Greece. People were stopping him and saying, you play in the Big 3. So how much pride do you take in the fact that this is not a local thing, a regional thing, but in fact it's going global?
It's amazing. We did all of our homework before we started this league, and we knew that 3-on-3 is the most popular form of basketball in the world. And so we just knew we had to, kind of build a better mousetrap, so to speak. There's a lot of leagues out there around 3-on-3, but we wanted to have the Premier League and a professional league. And to see it grow around the world is just an incredible sight. I'm very blessed to be in this position.
Cube, there was another moment recently where Steven Jackson was asked if Kobe could handle the physicality of the league. What do you make of that question? And maybe what's to tell you about the growth of the league that somebody might think that it was too physical or too tough for Kobe?
It shows that the Big 3 is its own sport. It's not the NBA. It is its own entity. I believe, of course, Kobe can play on any level. But you got to bring your big boy pants to play in the Big 3 because it's going to be physical. All of our veterans are savvy. They got all the veteran moves. You're not going to trick them or fool them. You got to come with desire and passion. And I believe Kobe still has that passion. But if he don't, then, we got great seats for him right up front he can watch.
Right. Cube joining us. In fact, speaking of Kobe, before you go, last time you and I talked, it was right after the announcement that LeBron was going to join the Lakers. Now we see Laker jerseys all over town with James on the back. What's it like to see that?
It's amazing. You don't like the best player in the league unless he's on your team. So when he's on your team, it's always a wonderful thing. I remember Shaq was this special player that we saw from afar. We looked up one day and he was on the Lakers, and it was a new day. So the Lakers are amazing when it comes to acquiring talent. They were able to get Will Chamberlain. They were able to get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, and now LeBron James. Even people like McAdoo. But so it's just great to see the organization doing what they do best, is acquire big-time free agents.
Yeah, Cube, still at the same time, some Kobe fans just don't get it. They're not with it. They splash those murals with paint. What do you say to any Kobe fans who are not supporting the Lakers now that LeBron is on the team?
That's absolutely ridiculous. What you think, Kobe going to come out the rafters and play? I mean, that era is in our rearview mirror, and we need to be looking forward and enjoying the future and celebrating the past, but enjoying the future.
Cube, earlier this month was the 30th anniversary of Straight Outta Compton. 30 years, man. That's hard to imagine. What do you think when you look back on that album now?
It was, to me, pure, I would say inspiration, pure inspiration, because nobody knew, not in the group, that it would even be accepted on the large level. So the record was just pure inspiration to me.
Big 3's championship takes place at Barclays Center on Friday, 8 p.m. on Fox. Mogul, award-winning actor, director, producer, music icon, and the co-founder of that league, Ice Cube, my guest. Cube, great to have you back. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Always good to talk to you, Jim. Thanks a lot, man.
You too, Cube. Have a great week. Good luck with that. That's Friday night at Barclays Center. They had 16,000 for the playoffs this past Friday night. All right, so we're open right now. And coming up later on, we're going to talk to the head football coach at Hawaii, Nick Rolovich. Stephen ABQ tweets, it happens. It happens to us all. Sincerely, that dad and son meth duo who came down on the White Sox field.
Yeah, it happens.
You mean the leagues?
Happens to us all.
The leagues. The leagues who came out of the stands, onto the field to attack a coach. That's not a good comparison. It's not the same thing as a couple of foursomes getting into it over slow play and somebody losing a digit. Tom Gamboa was the really unfortunate guy who was the victim of that attack. This guy's minding his own business, doing his job in the first base box. And these guys come out of the stands onto the field. The League family, William League Jr. and his son, and they attack this guy. It's one of the weirdest, most troubling, scary things I've ever seen. That's not going to win. I'm trying to give away a smoker here. I said it at the very top. Now, yesterday was different. Yesterday, I didn't bring it up until hour number 3. Yesterday from the jump, or today from the jump, I said it. Best content gets it. And I haven't even set aside a single thing. Not a single tweet, not a single email, not a single phone call to get racked. In fact, one guy lost a golden ticket. Jeff in Southfield. Jimmer. Jeff did raise an interesting question. What exactly does Ross/Keith Arnold do? Sometimes it's Ross. Sometimes it's Keith Arnold. Sometimes it's nobody. Must be a very important role. Just curious. Signed Jim in Green Bay. You're not helping him, Jimbo. You're hurting him.
That's not helping kids.
You know what's lazy, convenient, low-hanging fruit? Killing my crew. Killing my crew for how they look, asking what they do. You have no idea what the hell they do. Most of you can't even thumb out a tweet that's worth anything. Yet you're killing my people, and you have no idea what they do. Cop, can you point out the guy who bit you? Golfer, sure. Can you first hand me that Ziploc bag with my fingers? Steven PHX. I mean, sadly, that might be the best so far. Jeremy Lanza tweets, normally the most dangerous act on the links is throwing on a pair of golf shoes and falling into a trunk. Signed to Adam Hawk. That jumped over the guy who was pointing with his finger from a bag. The bar is not high. I've got a master-built smoker. It's a great product. It's free. It goes to the person with the best contribution. I'm still looking for it. When we return, I want to talk about Matt Barnes. In fact, that's not really true. I always want to talk. Very unfortunate story. That's not a good thing. I'll try and get to that momentarily. Now, here is a very good thing. This is a really good thing. Are you following me on Twitter? If so, you probably saw what I just retweeted. At Slam Dunk Champ 86 tweeted. At I'm Adam Hawk. At Jim Rome. Haven't watched this show in forever, but today I am. And he posts a pic of me. That's at Slam Dunk Champ 86. Freaking Spud Webb, if you need him. My man. Spud, what's up, kid? What's up, player? Glad you're watching. He was awesome. Loved the Slam Dunk Champ. And I love that he's watching on CBS Sports Network. He's checking it out. My man, if you have not watched the show in forever, you probably have a good reason. However, if today was the day that you picked to watch, today was a very good day. I told you it would be a good show. All right, so you never know what former dunk champion is watching. The only question I have now is, Hawk, have you heard of Spud Webb? You didn't know Larry Holmes. You didn't know Nigel Morgan. You didn't know Digger Phelps. These are all people this happened to be watching and then called. And you've got Anthony Webb right there at Slam Dunk Champ 86 tweeting the program. Do you know him, Hawk? The answer, of course, is no. Hawk, how the hell did you ever get this job? Do you know anything about sports? Do you know anything? I mean, dude, you're barely educated. You know nothing about life. You know nothing about sports. Yet there you sit. There you sit, front and center, EP. Wow, this bro, listen to this, bro. I was born in 87, but he won in 86. Fair point, Hawk. Have you ever heard of Mickey Mantle? Have you ever heard of Babe Ruth? What the hell's the matter with you, Hawk? Are you that dumb? Wow, man. That's a former dunk champion, iconic figure, tweeting at you. He's heard of you, but you've never heard of him. That's incredible. All right, really quickly, before we talk Hawaii football. So, Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes is a lot of things. You've heard of him, right, Hawk? Matt Barnes, NBA champion, energy dude, a dude who will battle on defense, a dude who will battle on the glass, a dude who's had an issue or two off the court. He retired last December, but that does not mean that he's done. Retirement for Matt Barnes does not mean he's just putting up his feet and letting the world pass him right by. In fact, just the opposite. Don't believe me? Ask Mario Chalmers, the former Miami and Memphis guard. Took to Instagram to share some very exciting news over the weekend. Maybe you saw it. If not, hopefully you're watching on CBS Sports Network. I'll try and get it up. It's a photo of Chalmers and his lady with the caption, quote, "We got something cooking in there, I see. 7.5 and counting." So what that is a beautiful moment of the two of them. They're all pumped up and hyped for the impending arrival of their baby. If you have not seen the pic, she's wearing a two-piece bathing suit. He's shirtless in jeans. And then to really add to the moment, she appears to be wearing a jean jacket that matches his jeans. So you can't look at that photo and not see the love that they've got for each other and for the child that they're going to welcome into the world in 6 weeks. You can't look at that pic and not see that. Well, you can't, but Matt Barnes can, because Barnes jumped into the comments with a remark that started like this, quote, "Congrats, bro. I see you carrying the milk for her." Uh-oh! Matt Barnes off the top rope. In other words, Matt Barnes doing Matt Barnes things. Oh, you think you've got a cool announcement about the birth of your child? Well, I've got a cool announcement about your rack, Mario. Chalmers is just minding his own business, and Barnes comes out of nowhere with that shot. And yes, I know Chalmers is not exactly chiseled in that pic. My man's not exactly shredded. But that's not what that pic's about, right? That pic is about the miracle of life. And you're killing this guy for his moves. He's sharing his excitement, and you're cracking him for his rack. I mean, are you serious? He probably was too hyped to share that pic than to actually look at it and think, maybe we should do a reshoot where I'm wearing a shirt or a tank top or a manzier. Listen, this guy obviously is more focused on his family than his look or his physique. Is that a bad thing? No, it's a good thing. I'd rather he be celebrating the joy of his new child instead of the definition of his pecs. All that said, congrats, bro. I see you carrying the milk for her is incredible. And so, Matt Barnes. I mean, this guy is one step removed from suggesting that Mario break out a bra also. Hey, that's awesome news about your new kid. By the way, what's up with your nips, man? And no clones, just because Matt Barnes made fun of Mario Chalmers and his rack does not mean you can. I'm not here for you to gloss him Macaroni Chalmers or Manicotti Chalmers or Mario Checkers Drive-In. Do not send me tweets from Calorie Chalmers or Mario Chili's. This guy's celebrating being a father, not being fatter. Save your Mario Cinnabon emails. Just because he was the 5th guy on those Heat teams does not mean you can roll in here with your 5 guys takes. I'm not interested in it. Matt Barnes can do it because that's what Matt does. Matt Barnes can do it because Matt Barnes can. You, on the other hand, can't. Keep moving. Keep moving. We're not doing it. I'm not having it, and neither is Spud Webb. Be better than that. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. Like the 1986 Slam Dunk champ. Wonder if my man Ced Ceballos is watching. Probably. You never know. I wonder if my man J.R. Ryder is watching. Love Isaiah. UNLV. Man, J.R. Ryder, if you could get him to do it, he'd be such a great podcast. He'd be amazing. My man, the Slam Dunk champ, 86 is in. Appreciate the shout-out, Jim. No way. Spud, appreciate you. Player, appreciate you. At Charles Fleming tweets, for the love of God, fire Hawk right now for not knowing who Spud Webb is. The thing is, if I fire Hawk right now for not knowing who Spud Webb is, then I'm going to miss out on all the enjoyment of not knowing who the next guy that Hawk doesn't know who is. And that's one of my favorite games. Hey, Hawk, have you ever heard of that guy? And the answer usually is no. Spud Webb's just the latest. Spud might be the best to date, although Larry Holmes is pretty damn good. How do you not know the former heavyweight champion of the world? And I'm not talking about a guy who had one lucky punch and then defended and got knocked the hell out. I'm talking about a guy who was the heavyweight champion of the world for 7 years. A guy who beat Muhammad Ali, and Hawk didn't know him. Jay, so if I were to fire Hawk, I would miss on the next guy that he didn't know, and that's one of my favorite games. Jay in the Mile High tweets, bleep, Adam Hawk for not knowing of Spud Webb. Again, in Hawk's defense, he was born in 87 and Spud won it in 86. Therefore, Hawk was not born yet. Hey, Hawk, have you ever heard of Abraham Lincoln? You weren't born either when that dude was bawling out. Man, what a horrible excuse. I wasn't born yet. All right, when we come back, Spud's going to win right now. Spud's had the best single contribution of the day. My man Spud Webb's going to give himself a free Master Built Smoker unless you can beat what he did. You have to beat. Haven't watched the show in forever, but today I am. And he tweeted a picture of me, and he tweeted it at Adam Hawk. I'm Adam Hawk, and at Jim Rome. When we return, a big shout out to D. Brown. What up, D? Are you watching? I hope D. Brown's watching. Club Said Sabalos, D. Brown, Spud. Baby Jordan. Where's Harold Miner? Harold Miner would be awesome. I would love Hawk, I know you haven't heard of Harold Miner. I'll let that slide. I'll let that slide. You know nothing about sports. There's no way you'd know him. When we return, Harold Miner would be awesome. Although nothing's going to top Spud, who tweeted out. Nick Rolovich joins me next. But right now I've got a sports update. Here it is. Rich Ackerman's got this one.
Sports Flash.
Don't forget Kenny Skywalker there, Jim. The breakup of the Nationals has begun. They have reportedly sent Matt Adams to the Cardinals and Daniel Murphy going to the Cubs for the stretch run. So the Cubs, who have had some injuries to their infield, will be adding some depth. It is late August. The Braves are currently leading the NL East, something not many people expected to say several months ago. They continue their series in Pittsburgh tonight after getting yet another lift from a promising rookie as 20-year-old Bryce Wilson made his major league debut last night, giving up only 3 hits over 5 innings, making a favorable impression on manager Brian Snitker.
I mean, that was, to say, about as good as it gets. I mean, impressed all the way around. Kind of carried himself like expected. A lot of confidence. You would know he's 20.
The second-place Phillies open a series in Washington tonight. The Yankees are in Miami to meet the Marlins. Giancarlo Stanton will face his former team for the first time after a trade to New York last winter. Yankees also put shortstop Didi Gregorius on the disabled list with a bruised heel. Nick Foles good to go after suffering a shoulder injury last week against the Patriots. He'll start the Eagles' next preseason game on Thursday against the Browns. I'm Rich Ackerman.
All right.
When I mentioned Harold Miner, it got me thinking, I wonder what the baby Jordan's up to. I mean, that's impossible. That's not his fault. That was not his fault. Had a really nice college career, explosive player, a lot of hype, and then somebody hits him with the baby Jordan moniker. Good luck living up to that. So I wonder what he's doing. And then this email pops in. Rome, what channel are you on? I'll flip you on real quick while I'm installing this customer's DirecTV, signed Harold Miner. Steven PHX. I doubt that's what he's doing, and if it is, who cares? Who cares? Do you remember those USC teams? George Raveling, head coach at USC. Robert Pack, the baby Jordan, Harold Miner. George Raveling, answer to a famous jungle trivia question. Who was responsible for delivering Michael Jordan to the jungle as a guest in his one and only appearance in the history of the program? Alvin, do you have the sound where Jordan came on this show, and I thank Jordan for being in my movie, Space Jam?
I saw part of the movie, Mike, and I just want to thank you for co-starring in my movie with me.
That's what I heard. I co-starred with you, and thanks for doing that. That was nice of you.
I can't believe how cool Mike was. I mean, that's funny, Mike. That's good stuff, Mike. Thanks for doing that. That was cool of you. So George Raveling is, in fact, the answer to the trivia question. Rav used to come on the program quite a bit back in the day, and we worked that angle. George Raveling once said, I think I can get you Michael Jordan. And so he worked that. We worked that for months and months and months and months. And then when Mike appeared with me in our movie Space Jam, I think Mike at that time was at UC Santa Barbara, so we had another connection. And that's how that got done. This email says, Dear Hawk, do you know who Nelson Mandela is? Sincerely, Jonathan Bernier.
Obviously, Nelson Mandela, one of the most significant historical figures of the 20th century. What knowledge or awareness did you have of him growing up, or when did you learn of him?
Well, obviously, growing up, he's one of the most known athletes in the world, and a lot of impact in any kind of sport that he did, and that even playing hockey, everyone knows him, right? From being the type of person that he was off the ice and on the ice, and it's so unfortunate that he passed away a year ago. But he changed a lot while he was with us, and he's a tremendous guy. I just think the way he met that is, to me growing up playing sports, and my parents was something really special because I can share, try to be a leader, try to share things and things like that where. When
digging,
you're in
bro.
Sport, you need to do that, right? You need
Damn,
to be,
Hawk's laughing at you for not knowing who Nelson Mandela was. Everybody who's played hockey knows about that great player, Nelson Mandela. Work smarter, not harder this Labor Day. Enjoy a slow smoke meal with a Masterbuilt smoker. Whether you want the ease of electric or the precision of propane, you'll find the just right smoker for your backyard cookout. I am giving one away every single day this week for the best contribution. And remember, you can find Masterbuilt smokers at Home Depot, Lowe's, Sam's Club, Academy, Bass Pro, and Cabela's. For great recipes and more information, go to masterbuilt.com. Best contribution gets it. I'm still looking. I'm still waiting. And I'm efforting Nick Rolovich. In the meantime, let's go to the phones because I still need that one guy or one gal, somebody to step up and rip the smoker. Let's go to SoCal. I'm trying to think, where are we in the WNBA season? What the hell? Who cares? Jeff in SoCal. Hey, Jeff, what's up?
Rome, just a heads up, it is playoff time for the WNBA, but that's not why I'm calling today, unfortunately. I want to call in about the Ohio State situation. It's ugly. They have to fire Herb. It's unacceptable. They can't keep him. But I think their biggest concern is who could possibly replace him. Well, Jim, they're in luck because the country has just been recently introduced to one Coach John Brown from Last Chance U, Season 3 on Netflix. Have you caught this guy's rap yet, Rome? He's about 6'2", 300 pounds, born and raised in Compton, California, and he's white. He's coaching in Independence, Kansas at a junior college. And why would he fit the Ohio State mold? Well, let me give you his qualifications. Jim, he F-bombs every other word. I mean, if you took a sip of Bud Light every time he dropped an F-bomb, you would be blacked out by minute 30 of episode 1. In one episode, he refers to 6 of his players as F-sticks. Yes, that's right, F-sticks. He constantly reminds the staff and players about his beach house in California and his collection of 2 Cadillacs on a very regular basis. Side note, Rome, in one episode he tries to get insurance for his Cadillacs, and the lady reminds him he has 3 moving violations in the last year. He drops an F-bomb on her, too. He does all of his on-camera interviews from a hot tub while sipping Hennessy and smoking a cigar. In one game, he fights his quarterback, his lineman, his offensive coordinator, and a security guard. And, Jim, he was fired from his previous coaching role for choking out the head coach. He's perfect for Buckeye Nation. In closing, Rome, going back to Smack Off real quick, my favorite part was Kyle in Green Bay posting a pic of him and Caleb with the caption, "This is going to break Twitter." Kyle, the only thing you and Caleb can break is a scale if you step on it. War Coliseum fight.
No. You don't like that call.
Hey, Jeff, I never thought that I would say this, man. Just stick to the WNBA. Just stick to your brand. Stick for what you're known for. Stick to the WNBA. I mean, I find myself missing those calls now when he calls. Anytime that guy calls off topic, like I know it's going to end badly when he calls about the WNBA, but whenever he calls off topic, it ends even worse. But you can tell, right? Well, now I'm compromising myself because I'm so desperate to give away that Master Built Smoker. Desperate to find the right take, the right content, the best contribution. This is what happens when I let some of you play along. This is what happens when I let you try to get something shiny, something new, something free. Nothing good. Nothing good. I'm still efforting Nick Rolovich, but not for much longer. We're running out of time. Hey, really quickly, we talk about the Redskins for a minute. If you were wondering how long it would take this Redskins season to get wrecked by injuries, you have your answer. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. A team that had 8 starting players spend time on injured reserve last season and has spent the last decade as one of the league leaders in man games lost did not even get to cutdown day before it's starting to take flyers on 33-year-old running backs. They signed Adrian Peterson to a contract for the veteran minimum. Second-round pick, Darius Geis, tore his ACL in the preseason opener. Then his 2 backups went down over the weekend. So then the Redskins found themselves in a bind. They kicked the tires on Jamal Charles, but they do not sign him. They work out the 7-time Pro Bowler. And they sign him to a contract. Adrian Peterson. Jamal Charles and Adrian Peterson. What, was my man Steven Jackson too busy? Did Cedric Benson demand a contract before getting onto an airplane? I'm a little disappointed that they didn't at least see if Noshawn Marino had anything left in the tank. Larry Johnson probably could have given them something if you just gave him that chance. Cadillac Williams probably is checking to see if he left his phone off the hook yesterday. Listen, if AP can be anything close to the AP of old, then this is worth a shot. But old AP isn't. Not the dude who hasn't cracked 4.5 per carry since 2012. Not the guy who's going to be a 0 in the pass game. Not the guy who wouldn't be caught dead on special teams. Not the guy who diva'd his way out of New Orleans last year after 4 terrible games. I mean, sure, back when he was rushing for 1,200 plus, it didn't matter that he couldn't catch Jack out of the backfield, nor couldn't be trusted in pass protection. It didn't matter then. But it does now, especially since every back who matters catches passes out of the backfield, especially now that his quarterback is Alex Smith. Checking down to the running back is what Alex Smith does. That's who that guy is. Look, I guarantee, or I get that there's no guaranteed money. That's fine. There's no guaranteed money. It's the veterans minimum. Peterson is not even a lock to be on that roster in 2 weeks. But the least the Redskins could have done was give my man Clinton Portis a call first. Because there is a reason Adrian Peterson was still available. And that reason is he's gassed. He did next to nothing last year and even less the year before when he missed most of the season. Again, no real downside for the Redskins. But even more importantly, no real upside for the Redskins. Just know what you're getting. Washington, not very much at all. This guy wants a smoker. What the hell? Let's give it a shot. I'm trying to give one away. I've got 5 to give away this week. We go to NoCal. Victor. Hey, Vic, what's up?
Romy, long time no talk, brother. Hey, one last thing I want to mention about the Smack Off really quick, and that is the date of this year's Smack Off. What was it, July 20th? I mean, damn, Rome, I'm old enough to remember when the Smack Off was traditionally held on Good Friday every year. You know what day Good Friday fell on this year? March 30th. March 30th. July 20th, March 30th. I mean, at the rate we're going, Rome, pretty soon the Smack Off is going to fall on Black Friday, and I'm going to have to make my traditional Smack Off Eve call in between the first and second quarter of the Detroit Lions versus Chicago Bears Thanksgiving game. Romy, for the monumental 25th Smack Off next year, can we roll up the date a bit? You know, that's going to accomplish 2 things. 1, it'll get us somewhat back on the original calendar, and 2, it's going to cut down on the number of months I have to wait before I reclaim my title. I came close this year. Next year, I'm finishing the job. Rome, I want to get an unwar in, and that is unwar the tool I saw yesterday out on the street, walking around with, get this, man, skiing poles. Skiing poles. Have you ever witnessed this phenomenon, Rome? This old guy walking around on the street with, like, knee pads and skiing poles. Hey, Gramps, you're on Main Street and 7th Avenue, okay? It's not Chairlift number 9 at Snow Summit. Lose the skiing poles, dork. And finally, Rome, speaking of next year's Smack Off, Jesus, what a disaster that second call from Jeff in Southland was today. The Godfather Part 3 thinks that was an awful sequel. Robert Griffin III thinks Jeff in Southland is in a bit of a sophomore slump. I mean, from newly minted Jungle Darling, mentioned in the same breath as legendary first-time calls like J.D. in Nashville, Shimon, and Willie and Casey's, Cablinasian, the Friendly Ghost, Giddy Up, Horseface, to now stuck in the mud with scrubs like Jesus from Chicago. I mean, what a fall from grace, man. That's got to be the worst collapse since Hank Gathers. Give me my master bill.
That's not a good call. No. You don't like that call. I don't like that call. Not a very good call.
Hawk, do you know who Hank Gathers was? Terrible story. Vic, asinine reference. Vic, you know you had it. You obviously don't want to win it. You know you don't want to win it. Hank Gathers, Loyola Marymount, collapsed and died in a game. It was horrible. Horrible. Anyway, Vic, I was about to give you the smoker. I was actually even happy to give you the smoker, despite the horrible quality of your phone line. And then you go with that. You don't win. Nick Rolovich is getting rescheduled. That means you've got about 60 seconds. If you have any game whatsoever, any wherewithal, you could call the show, tweet at the show, email the show, and rip the smoker. Otherwise, I may carry 2 over till tomorrow. Again, I'm looking for the best content of the day, not the best of the worst. Now I'm done. We're going to give away 2 tomorrow. I just hope it's not 3 the next day.
It's 2 for me.
But thanks to Ice Cube. Blake Anderson, the head football coach at Arkansas State. Yeah, I did my job, clones. Do not say I did not do my job. I gave you good content, good rants, good takes, good interviews. I did my job. Look yourself in the mirror. Did you do your job? I can answer that for you. No, you did not. Not if I'm sitting on a smoker. It's free. Tomorrow we give away 2. My thanks to the XR4 Ti. They did a pretty good job today. We've got the Jim Rome podcast. Episode dropping later on. Cliff Averill is my guest. I did the interview yesterday. It's really good. Look for that. That's going to drop later on today. Let me say right now that Urban Meyer getting, quote, time served for how he handled the history of domestic violence allegations against assistant Zach Smith would be an unbelievable move. And yet at the same time, the most believable thing ever. The most Ohio State thing ever. Yeah, I get it, Buckeye fan. He's a good coach. Hell, he's a great coach. But do you want to be known as the school that protected a great coach who protected an alleged wife beater? I know I wouldn't. Somewhere you know Jim Tressel has got to be tripping, ripping his sweater vest to shreds. I mean, Tressel's got to be like, I resigned over a tattoo scandal. But this guy might get time served for how he handled Domestic violence allegations? Are you serious? This is a school that always wants people to make sure that they get the Ohio State University correct. The Ohio State University better get this punishment correct. I need to congratulate A-Rod because he has officially reached the point of no return in that character arc. The guy was in the crowd filming his girlfriend perform on his personal blower, despite the fact that it was being taped and recorded by about 1,000 professional cameras. Either he's getting paid to document her in public, or he's extremely worried that you might forget that he's with her. The Nationals GM went into the clubhouse and nearly gave the hands to a Nationals player. The two greatest moments in Nationals team history are guys either fighting with each other or wanting to fight each other. Absolutely nat-tastic.
Sports Flash.
Coverage. Ackerman, the Nationals have waved the white flag, reportedly selling off assets with Daniel Murphy, the three-time All-Star, going to the Cubs, and Matt Adams headed back to St. Louis. Meanwhile, waivers expired on Bryce Harper. He is staying in Washington, at least for the time being. The Astros surrendered sole possession of first place in the American League West last night, but help is on the way. Jose Altuve expected back after spending nearly a month on the disabled list, the first time he's been on the DL in his career. The Astros went 8-12 without him. The Mariners have been sparked by the return of Robinson Cano from a PED suspension. He's 9 for 24 so far and had a pair of homers in last night's win, to the delight of manager Scott Service.
Welcome back, Robbie Cano. You know, he was talented, very talented player. You know, he's due for one of those nights. Hit a ball out opposite field tonight, or in the left center there, hit it the other way. Ball wasn't going anywhere. He really smoked it.
Brad Peacock will start tonight against Mike Leake in Game 2 of the series. The A's have been one of baseball's best stories and continue their series against the Rangers after taking the opener to move into a tie with the Astros for the lead in the AL West. The Yankees are back in action after their first day off in 3 weeks. They open a 2-game series in Miami as Giancarlo Stanton returns to the city he called home for his first 8 years in the majors. The reigning NL MVP is more concerned with his team's health, though, after shortstop Didi Gregorius, the latest to go on the disabled list earlier today due to a bruised heel. Stanton also looking to reach a milestone tonight. He's 1 home run shy of 300 for his career. Victor Cruz makes it official.